I'm live. Yay. Hi, everybody. This is Jeffrey. This is Ripe Color. I am here. I am alive, not dead. I need to get water. Okay. I'm not really prepared. I came on a 12:01, which I really don't like, but here I am. I hope the sound is good. You know, I have this microphone, and I think there's still an echo, but I don't really know. Okay. Just let me get water. I'll be right back. All right, everyone. Oh, those are my children. Those are my children. Okay. So Tarot Tuesdays, I'm finally back. So I usually do it with a guest, but that's been a thing. So, you know, the death card is really exactly what I've gone through. You have to buy water here in Mexico. So, I'm going to talk about the death card in my own personal experience. All right, so let me find the card. I've been obsessing about this for like 2 hours, trying to get something going on. Hi, Gretchen. How are you? And then, of course, I'm not ready. And I just made the thumbnail like 2 seconds ago. All right, I'm getting the cards out. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. So usually I have a guest for Tarot Tuesdays. So you'll put in the comments whether, you know, you think guests are whatever, whether you prefer one or prefer not to have one. All right. So it's been a long time coming and I'm finally back. Why am I shuffling? I have to find the card. All right. So I've been buying furniture. Look at this thing. This thing is so fabulous. Look at this, Gretchen. Look at this. 70s realness. I'm so happy. I mean, it needs to be cleaned, but I'm really happy. I've been buying stuff like crazy. Because it's like, you know, I'm living here. And there's a fantastic antique market here. Really fantastic. So, yeah, I'm happy. Let me find the card. I've been wanting to do this for so long. It's cool, right? And it was so inexpensive and it's comfortable. Yeah, the death card is a really, really profound card. And it's the card of Scorpio. And it's the card really of transformation. Death and transformation, the end. It's really, what I'm feeling lately, it's like it's really more about an end than a beginning. I mean, it's both because endings are beginnings and beginnings are ending. You know, it's going to be the last card. I've already gone through 60 here. You'd think I'd be prepared. I finally found it. Yay. Yay. Okay. And I'm obsessing over rugs. You have no idea, Gretchen. You have no idea. Obsessing over rugs. So I have everything written down, how much it costs, and, you know, what the measurements are, whatever. Okay. So let's talk a little bit for a moment about the Hanged Man, because the Hanged Man comes right before the death card. And I already did a video on the Hanged Man, which was really good. And that was the last Tarot Tuesdays. I don't even know how long ago that was. Oh, that was with Sherry. Okay. So the Hanged Man puts himself on the tree, right? It's a willing self-sacrifice. He's stopped and paused and said, there's something that's not working here. There's something I have to give up. There's something that I need to change. I need to switch my thinking, or I need to like allow illumination in. I'm going to turn off my phone because I know that my phone is going to go off. It's like there's something that I have to change. Hi, Lauren. So that's what's going on in the Hanged Man. So he sits and he pauses, and then he ponders, and he gives something up. He willingly gives something up. And a lot of times when we willingly give something up, it's like, well, I'm going to give up, I'm going to change my diet, I'm going to give up cake, let's say. And it's like, oh, a lot of times when we willingly give something up, it's because there's like a hand around our throat, right? Saying, if you don't give this up, things are not going to be so good. That's my experience with it. Okay, I'm turning on I'm turning off. It's on vibrator. Yay. Hi, Nancy. Thank you. Did you see my new chair? Isn't it fab? Look at that. Isn't that fabulous? Hopefully it'll clean well. Otherwise, I'll have someone make me another one of those things. This is a great antique market here. Okay, so that's the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man, he received information. He received information, right? Because he's illuminated. So he went into all the realms. So he has this deeper understanding of all the realms, right? This plane, that plane, that plane. Got it? It's comfortable too. All right. The chair, that is. So I wish I knew how to afterwards, have all this come up, the chat, but I don't know how to do that on YouTube. I don't know. I'll call Sheila. Maybe she probably knows how. All right. So now here we are. So, it's a skeleton, right? I really have my water. And he's all dressed up, right? In armor. And the king is dead. The king is dead. So who's the king? Who's the king? The king, a lot of times, is like a symbol. He's a leader, obviously, but it's a symbol of the material plane. It's a symbol of the. So there's something in the material that's different. That's no longer working, or that ran out of gas, or had to be killed, or had to be let go of, or just, I don't know. Sometimes it's an attitude, or a understanding, or or something physical that's no more. It could be a job, a relationship, a place to live. I used to think this way. I don't think this way anymore. I used to spend a lot of time doing something. I don't spend time doing that anymore. It doesn't interest me anymore, or it lost its appeal, or it lost its, it just doesn't hold any weight. It just doesn't hold any weight. So for me, what I'm really getting about the death card, it's really about an ending. Yeah, it's about transformation, but it's really, really about an ending of an era, or an ending of a situation. It could be, you had a job for a long time, and it just, or you're moving, or there used to be people you were really friendly with, and either they moved away, or you moved away, or you think in a different way, you see things in a different way, you don't relate to it anymore. That's the thing about the death card. So for me personally, what's happened through this transition of like living in the death card is, I used to have this a big part of my identity was the apartment that I lived in, right? I lived in that apartment for 30 years. I was making money from the apartment because I was doing Airbnb. My art studio was there. My YouTube studio was there. I had been through so much in that apartment because I moved in there when I was 28. I just recently turned 59. And I think I just turned 29 when I moved in, I think. I don't remember. And I'd been through so much in that place. I went through a place with no heat. I went through 4 landlords. I went through a million different neighbors. It was a really dangerous neighborhood when I moved in. It was like all drug dealers. There was prostitution in the building. There was drug dealing in the building, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it transformed, and the neighborhood got nice, and I really made it work, you know. And there were a lot of problems with that apartment. It was really old, you know, like the floors were like this. I actually replaced some of the floors myself, and I had a big identity with, I am that apartment, and that apartment is me. I am New York, and New York is me. I am. So this is what happens in the death card. It's like I no longer identify with that. I no longer identify with, um, oh, I'm a, you know, I'm a New Yorker. You know, yeah, I was born in New York, and yeah, I grew up in New York, but I'm no longer a New Yorker. I'm no longer. I mean, I'm not a Chilango yet. Chilango is like the way they say somebody who lives in Mexico City, but um, it's a frequency match. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like there's a vibration that no longer matches. There's a vibration that no longer matches, and the thing that I realized when I went to New York, I saw some people that I haven't seen, you know, in a long time, and some people I haven't seen because of COVID also. So it's really been a while. And I saw my therapist, and we're really friends now. He's not really my therapist anymore, but I was with him for 25 years, right? And we still talk, you know. Um, but we're friends, and he, you know, like he gets tarot readings from me, and you know all that. And when I left, I went to go see him in New Jersey, and I got on the train going back to Manhattan, and I realized, like, I don't know if I'm going to see him again. I mean, I want him to come to Mexico, you know, but he's older. So I don't know. And I don't know when I'm going back to New York. Like, there's nothing calling me because I took care of everything. Um, and there was a sadness, but there was also like what I said to him on the way down the stairs, because he drove me to the station, was, I'm leaving the pain. I'm leaving the frustration. I'm leaving the struggle. I'm leaving. You know, I lived in New York, so it was really like my whole life. And I buried a lot of people. I buried a lot of people. Like, that's the truth. You know, I'm gay. I'm 59. Like, you know, I'm HIV negative, which is a real miracle. But I mean, I buried so many people. So it's like all that. And then the whole transformation of New York from a really artisty place to like this whole corporate, it's just a different place. It's just a different place. There's no place to get cheap eats. There's no place to buy. It's just different. It's just very different. It's become very Disneyfied, very, very touristy. And, you know, look, I ran with it, and, you know, I did Airbnb. And for a long time, my t-shirts, I made New York City t-shirts, and I sold the hell out of them and paid my rent. I did it for years. Um, there are no small stores left because the rent is so high. Very few. It's just a different place. It's just a different place. And and I no longer really vibe with it. And you know, the funny thing is, I've been coming to Mexico for many years already, and I'd always been talking about like living in Mexico part time and going back and forth and going back and forth and la la la. And it's like, no, you don't really vibe with New York anymore. You know, in New York, my a big part of my life and a big part of my energy and a big part of the head I was in was really about struggle. It was really about struggle. It was really about, you know, taking from here to pay that, and you know, it was like that for a long time. I mean, there were times where I was really abundant, and I made money and all that, and that was great. But you know, it would go like this and like that, and I'm done with the struggle. I'm done with the struggle. I'm done with. Um, twisting myself into a pretzel to, do this and do that, and make this one happy, make that one happy. It's really, really, so like there was an end, a complete end. And honestly, the only thing I took, some of the things that people, gave me. Hi, Joji. Thank you, Joji. Um, and here I am. And it's really interesting because this neighborhood is like, it's poor. And, but it's like tons of families, it's like when I moved into Hell's Kitchen, it was poor, but it was scary. It was scary. It was really, really scary on the street. And New York was really scary when I grew up. Like that, like those movies you saw, it was exactly like that. It really was. It was like, so this isn't scary. Not, it's just not scary. I don't feel at all unsafe. I mean, I'm aware of myself, and I don't walk around with like jewelry on. Now like what? Now I have my little silver bracelets, but uh, it, I feel, I don't know, at home. I feel safe. I feel safer in this apartment than I ever did in my apartment in New York. For all those years, there was always like, I always felt like the shoe was going to drop. I always felt like, I don't know, I'm kind of keeping it together. I'm kind of keeping it together. I'm kind of keeping it together. And I don't feel like that here. So the death card is just this complete and utter transformation. And I've spoken about it before. I don't recognize, or like when the death card really comes up, it's like something is transformed so completely that one doesn't recognize who one was, because those things that have ended, those relationships, those ways of thinking, those ways of being, maybe your way where you're living, where you're working, it's just something changed. Sometimes like a death in the family, right? Sometimes there's one person in the family that you don't realize held everything together. And then that person dies, and it's like, it's just not the same. They were the glue. They were the glue that brought it all together. And all of a sudden the glue isn't there, so the tiles just start falling off the wall suddenly. Thank you, Nancy. So, I mean, that is really what the death card is about. So let's talk a little bit about the iconography. Okay. So first of all, it's a white flower. White denotes purity. White denotes strength. And also white is like blank. White is blank, like anything, white is like, in a way, like a zero, right? 2 plus 0 is 2. 300 million plus 0 is 300 million. It's blank, like it's open to, like, you put yellow on it, it's yellow. As a dyer, some people want to give me like a pair of tan pants. They're like, can you make these blue? It's like, no, I can't. If you give me something white or ivory, then I could pretty much get any color you want, right? But if you give me a pair of tan pants and I add blue dye to it, it's going to become green. But white is just, it's a clean slate. It's a clean, open slate. Hello, Linda. So it's white, and it's a 5-petaled flower. So the 5-petaled flower is a really interesting thing. So originally the rose was a 5-petaled flower. 5 is really the number of Venus, and it's really the number of man. Like the Vitruvian man. It's like this is 1, 2, 3, and then your legs are 4 and 5. Yeah, yes, I wear pants when I do videos. Yes. Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about Venus, I'll do a little drawing. Oh, good. I have a pen and everything. Venus is the evening star and the morning star, right? Because she changes her orbit. Well, she doesn't change her orbit. It seems like that. This is a full book. It seems like that from our perspective. This is not going to work. Maybe this will. Okay. So Venus, what she does is that's the Scorpio symbol. All right. Basically, now I hope I can draw this backwards. You know, if we're here, she appears here, she appears here, she appears here, right? So what does that make? Let's try to. It makes a pentagram. Oh my God. Did I mess that one up? 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. You know what a pentagram looks like. I just draw the pentagram. And now the pen is running out of ink. So that's why that's one of the symbols of Venus. But if you look at it really carefully, it's also, it's a person. It's a human. That's why 5, that's why the rose is one of the symbols of Venus, right? So the other thing about the 5 in alchemy is the quintessence. The quintessence is the energy and the understanding of the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water, which is what our astrology is broken up into. And then the 5th element, which is the ether, which brings it all together, which has an element in all of it, right? The ether has air, the ether has earth, the ether has all of it. And it's like the magic little formula that brings it all together, that combines everything. It's like the gel and jello. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the thing that it's the glue. It's the glue, and it's the plasma. It's like the energy we put out. It's the thought pattern. Like that's what the quintessence is about. Yes, yeah, the 5 petals of Venus. It's a really, really powerful. 5 is a really powerful number. I mean, they all are. Okay, so like I said earlier, the king is dead. So it's like the one who was in charge in your head, right? The one who set the rules is dead. He's gone. So it's like, well, what are the rules now? Who's in charge? So like, let's say it's financial, right? So if the king is dead, the king used to take care of the finances, and this percentage went to rent, and this percentage went to fun, and this percentage went to whatever. Now it's like, well, now that he's dead, what's going to be? How are we going to set this up? And the hangman, we kind of got an inkling of like, I'm spending too much on this, or I'm not spending enough on this, or I'm spending too much time on this, or not spending enough time on that. And the thing about the death card is that one thing has to die so another can live. So it's like, well, before I can even think about what I want to plant in my garden, hi, Nancy. Before I can even think about what I want to plant in my garden, I need to clear the land. I need to have it empty. And that's what, so the death card is really about an ending, like a complete ending. There's no reviving it. You can't revive the king. It's like you could pretend to revive the king, but it would be like a puppet. It would be like not even like a puppet, like a cardboard figure. And it's like, no, we're going to have to begin again. We're going to have to begin again. So let's say the soil that you had was really good for, say, vegetables, and it was really good and fertile and la, la, la. And it's like, you know what? I want a rock garden. Or you know what? I think I want to grow cactus. So I need different kinds of soil. Or maybe I'm going to pave that over. Or maybe I'm going to build a wishing well. Or like that's what it is. And it's like, you go and then you're looking at it new, and it's like, I never saw that wishing well there. It's like, well, because it wasn't there before, but now it is. It used to be a rose bush. It used to be a tree. It used to be, I don't know, a cactus garden, and now it's a wishing well. Oh, oh. I'm like, oh. And, for me, so what's been going, I don't recognize myself in my old life because my old life is done and over. And my whole identity with New York, my whole identity with the frustration, my whole identity with struggle, my whole identity with let's go, 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 go. Done. Because things are completely different here. It's a huge, huge transformation for me. I have to really get used to things. Everything takes forever. It's much less efficient, but it's much friendlier. It's much kinder. It's much more genteel. Um, Nobody pays attention to traffic, anything. Like they drive on the street. You're standing on the corner. Bikes are coming that way, this way, this way. Here comes the car. You really got to be here. You really got to be here. This is not going to work. Just not going to work. So it's a big transition. And it's like, also the streets because of the earthquakes and stuff. Sometimes the street is like this, and then there's a big hole, and it's like, you really, really have to be in your body. You really have to be here. And I think that's a big part of it for me is that I'm really in my body in a way. And I'm really in my intuition in a way that I didn't need to be in New York because, it was like I kind of knew what to expect. And here it's like I have no idea what to expect. None. And it's kind of fascinating. And part of it, it's a little bit, there's moments of frustration, but overall, like there are a lot of dogs in the building. There are a lot of dogs in Mexico, and, there are just a lot of dogs. And like in New York, if that would have started happening in my building, it would have made me nuts. It would have made me nuts and started screaming and yelling and la, la, la. And here it's like, whatever. The dog will shut up in 5 minutes. Because at night, it's not, they're not barking all night or anything like that. And it's just, there's a patience that I've acquired because I had to. And there's a delight that I've acquired because I choose to. So I don't recognize pieces and parts of myself that I just don't. I don't vibe with them anymore. And I don't vibe with the past. It's all new. It's all new. It's all new. Everything. Everything. The language, the culture, the climate, the food, the shopping, the the metro, like everything, everything, everything. And the only thing that still fits are my hats. So I had to like buy a whole new wardrobe. And, I'm just kind of different. It's like incredible. And I'm really up for the adventure. I'm really up for it. I mean, there are moments where it's like, this is not very pleasant, or this is really inefficient, or this is, and it's like, okay, a man of many hats. Yeah, I have like 30, and I lost so many in the fire. I still have like 30. But I have to stop myself. Yesterday I went shopping. I went, I don't even know where I went. Oh, I had to go get socks. I got socks and I got coffee, right? Like the real essentials. But then there's this like, a discount store that I bought stuff at before. And I was like, and I was like, you don't need anything, darling. You need a rug. You need a rug. You don't need a hat. You don't need, and I mean a rug for the floor. So, even though like when the death card, when it comes up, it can be really scary and really intimidating and really, You know what it is? It's like your oversoul coming through and saying, this no longer works for you. You're vibrating at a different level. And it's time for, us, you know, like the collective us of our higher self to say, we're taking this away because you're too comfortable in your misery. We're taking this away. You're too comfortable in the way things are. And life, you know, is about change. And life and living life is really about experiencing change and rolling with it. Oh well, I used to be an athlete, but now I'm a certain age and I just don't have the athletic ability, or I don't have the stamina. And it's like it's a change, and you're gonna roll with it. Or uh, I had this really this profound relationship with a piece of land or a place, and it changed, or I changed, and so now it's time to move, or it's time to adjust. Like that is really what the death card is about. It's a huge adjustment, but the adjustment is enormous because I really feel like it comes from the inside out. Like the Tower card really comes from the outside in. The death card comes from the inside out because it's a card of Scorpio. So Scorpio, the energy of Scorpio is like, as a Scorpio, I can tell you, right? I remember many years ago, I was at my therapist's office, right? And we were talking about, I don't even know what we were talking about. And he says, well, you're in the middle of the lake now. And then there's an opportunity over there, and there's one over there. And which way are you going to swim, right? Toward which shore? So I'm not swimming, I'm diving. I'm not swimming, I'm diving. I'm diving to the bottom of the lake, and I'm going to go see what the treasure is. I'm going to go see what's there, right? Because that's what Scorpio does. That's why Scorpio also is known like for doctors and detectives. It's like, I'm going to get to the bottom of it, no matter how long and how hard I have to dig, no matter how hard the sun is shining. If it's raining, it's like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this emotionally. And there's a willingness in Scorpio to go to this place on the inside and in one's soul that is so profound, that is so because it's like there's no rest unless you do that. For me, like there's no rest. Like I've got to get to the bottom of it. I've got to get to the bottom of it. I have to really get to the bottom of it, and the bottom of it emotionally, right? And really, a lot of my life has been like that. A lot of my life has been like that, and this has definitely been the the most major. This is the most major transformation I've ever gone through, and I've gone through plenty of them. And I've reinvented myself in terms of finances, in terms of jobs, in terms of relationships a million times, believe me. But this has been the one, and it's very exciting, actually. There's 10% of me. It's like, oh God, I don't really understand anything, and then there's like 90% of me is like, isn't this fun? The search continues. Yes, it's less busy in certain ways, but busier in others, busier in others. And also, so I didn't really, like I have a 2-bedroom here, right? And I had in my head, I could do Airbnb again, la, la, la. But I was sort of undecided about what I was going to do with that room. But I don't really want to make this my art studio anymore because it's all new. Like I have all these like this white tile floor, which is a pain. But my old apartment was like funky. I'd put down the floor myself. It was raw wood, so if paint fell on it. It fell on it. I didn't care. It was kind of part of the atmosphere. And I don't want to do that here. So anyway, I have this friend of mine. His name is Wolf. That's a great name, right? His name is Wolf, and he was one of my old Airbnb hosts. And he had a party for this young couple, a really attractive young couple that came from Austria, and they're traveling the world. Oh, God bless you, Nancy. God bless you. And he's like, and they wanted anyway. They went to the Yucatan, and they want to come back to Mexico City. He doesn't have any room. He's like, oh, Jeffrey's doing it. So he basically rented the room sight unseen. So it's like, I guess I have Airbnb guests. And I'm not even on Airbnb. It's going to be for cash. Más bueno. Efectivo. Anyway, I got some furniture yesterday. I'll show you. I love shopping. Oh my God, I love shopping. I think this will work without the mic. Okay, that. Okay, let me know if the mic. Are we still good? Can you still hear me? I hope so. Okay, so I got this chair yesterday. Fab, 70s realness. You can hear me good. It was only $100. And then, oh, these are my children, Teddy and Mono. So Teddy has gone through a transformation too, because the old Teddy looked like he'd been through fire. All right, so this is the guest room. So it has a built-in closet. Great. I got this yesterday. Isn't that the cutest little thing? It's a tiny little desk. Because, people want to use the internet, and it came with a little thing. So the curtains are coming, and I think this is going to be the painting in here. I'm not really sure. But anyway, the curtains are coming. So they're coming on the 24th for 3 weeks. It's like, great. You know what it is? I'm allowing. It's like someone says, oh, can you want to, do an exchange for English and Spanish? It's like, sure. So I became a little tutor at one of my old places. I mean, it was like for no money, but it was like, all right. So I'm just open, and my plan is to really get more serious about YouTube, do more lives, do more types of videos. So yeah, no, it's the truth, Joe. Thank you. That's part of the reason, it's really, nothing happens by accident. It's all part of, like, I don't know, written in the stars or something. I'm not one of these fate people, but I feel like even though the fire was really traumatizing, it was a blessing because it got me to here. And it also, I felt very, very trapped in New York. I felt very trapped. I felt like, because I was doing Airbnb 30 days out of the 30 days, because I had a great location. I was really close to Times Square, really close to a lot of trains. And, you could walk to Central Park, you could walk to almost anywhere. Or the train. I was near 7 subway lines, just like unheard of. But the thing was, the way my apartment was set up in New York, it was like a horseshoe. So you walk in, it was the kitchen, and the kitchen was really nice. And then there was a room over there that I rented. Like, let's say we're in the kitchen. So there's a room over there that I rented, and then was my art studio. And then you had to walk into my room to go to the bathroom. So there was no privacy. It was like, it was my life, And I really enjoyed doing it. I was really good at it. I did it for a long time. I had over 500 people stay with me from all over the world. Fascinating experience. What a deeply profound spiritual learning experience that was for me. And I made money doing it too, and I had my art studio there, and I would sell people, stuff, and it was, I made it work. But here, I have that private garden, which I can always disappear to if there's chatter, and they're getting me crazy. But they also have their own room with their own door. So, like, if I want to walk around naked in my room, not that I do, but I can. It's a different energy. It's just different because there's room. The other place, there was no room. It was like, whenever I had a roommate, it was like we became entwined because it was like, there was no like, well, do you have your space? I have my space. Like, there was no your space, my space. It was our space. Here, it's like, here's my space, here's your space. It's different. And it's interesting I should say that, because I think what's happened is, like, I have more space. Like, in my head. I have more space in my heart. I have more space in spirit. I have more space to, like, meet new people. I have more space to learn something new. So that's what's gone on. And thank you. Thank you, Gretchen. Oh, great audio and video. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Because isn't there an echo? Because sometimes when I watch them, because like I do my videos every week, right? And then one week, Gemini, like I'll have a million comments, and then the next week, I don't know, Aries, I'll have a million comments. I'm like, I must have really been on. And then I watch the video to see what I had to say because I never know what I have to say. And and then I listen and I'm like, you need to work on the sound. So I guess it's okay. Okay. Now the other thing I wanted to talk about. So the interesting thing is spirit going to die, right? Is spirit next? Is innocence next? Because children, represent innocence. Does innocence have to die too? So I think on this card, it's really interesting. I think you can interpret it either way. It's like, okay, innocence and spirit are spared, right? You could read it like that, or you could read it like, well, your sense and your understanding of what spirit is, your sense and your understanding of what innocence is of because sometimes the death card can come in and it's like, oh, everything's honky dory in my life, and now, like say somebody did something really really messed up, like they stole a lot of money from you or something, God forbid, too. And it's like, well, the innocence is gone. So it could go either way. I think it depends on the other cards around. I think it depends. And then here we have the sun. So is it rising? Is it setting? That's also up for interpretation. Is it rising? Is it setting? I think it's both. I know it sounds a little weird, but like that's the way things work, right? So it's like, one chapter or one I eon or one season in one's life ends and another one begins and another one begins. And it's interesting too. I was watching some other reader a long time ago, and they were doing a Scorpio reading, right? And they were like, you're a Scorpio, you're up all night anyway, which is the truth. I'm up all freaking night. I really am. I like at night as the sun is setting, once the sun sets, like I could be really busy and really productive all day, but once the sun sets, I feel alive. It's like, oh, now it's really time to get busy. Now it's really time to like get creative. Now it's really time to have those conversations. Now it's really time to paint. Now it's really time. It's really interesting how it's still. And I've been waking up super early here. I'm going to sleep early, but I wake up in the middle of the night. And like not like I have to pee or anything. I just wake up in the middle of the night. Maybe have a little water, maybe I go to the roof, maybe I look at something on the internet, maybe I contemplate something, maybe I obsess over something, and then I go back to sleep. I've been like that since I'm a kid. So I don't know if the sun is rising or setting. See, that's the thing about this is what I try to convey, and and Tarot Tuesdays and my other readings. It's like you're the interpreter. I have my own understanding, right? But the what happens is as you continue to practice with the cards, you become the interpreter, and the interpretations change all the time, all the time. So the death card is always about transformation, right? But what does that mean? It could be physical, it could be spiritual, it could be internal, it could be external, it could be both, it could be all four. What does it mean? What's died? What's ended? What's ended? And what needed to end, or what was destined to end? And sometimes certain endings, it's like, yeah, a relationship ends, and it's like, oh, this doesn't feel good. So how am I going to transform through this? How am I going to get along without this person or these persons? You know, what am I going to have to access? What am I going to have to rely on? What am I going to have to learn? Right? Or, oh, I'm so glad that's done. I'm so glad that's done. Because what I realized that there were a lot of there were certain relationships in my life, because there are some long-term relationships that did not make it through the transition. They just didn't. And there was part of me that was really hurt, and part of me that was really confused, and part of me that was really relieved. Part of me that was really relieved because we change, and I do different things. Like I don't want to sit in front of the TV at night. It's not my thing. Never has been. It's just not my thing. I haven't had a TV in, I don't know, 40 years. And I have people in my life. It's like, oh, well, did you see the? And it's like, I don't really care. I'd rather make something. I'd rather go for a walk. I'd rather cook. I'd rather talk on the phone. I would rather decorate. I would rather read. I would rather pick my nose. But, what at the end of the day, what I really get from the death card, it's interesting. It's a 13. It's like a bar mitzvah. Is this energy of I no longer recognize who I was. I no longer recognize who I was emotionally, who I was in terms of relationships, who I was maybe financially, or my job. Some people they do a complete job transfer. It's like I used to be a scientist and now I'm a builder, a carpenter. Like, what? Yeah, it's a little bit like that. A little bit like, oh, and it's like, yeah. I know how to do the science. I know how to do the math. I understand the thing. I understand how they combine and all that, but it just doesn't interest me anymore. It's like it was a lesson, and okay, but I'm not going to go back. It's like that. It's like that. It's like, and it could sometimes be a sad thing, but sometimes it's a relieving thing, and sometimes it's a freeing thing. A freeing thing, because I mean, honestly, what's really going on is I've never been more free. I've never been more free. I'm free from the bondage of the past. That's how it feels. I feel like I'm free from the bondage of the past. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with my YouTube channel. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with my, how quickly and how, what kind of depth I have an understanding in Mexico, in terms of relating to people, in terms of being able to converse. I'm just really curious. It's like, okay. And I'm deep in it. I'm not living I'm the only gringo in my neighborhood. Yeah, I'm deep in it. I'm deep in it. Freedom is priceless. It really is. I'm deep in it. I'm really in Mexico. I'm not, I'm not living in a little American enclave in a neighborhood. I'm not doing that. And sometimes they try to speak English to me. I'm like, no, todo español. No comprendo nada, pero speaks me in Spanish anyway. I want to read what you said, Gretchen. Oh, okay. I found a great reader who's on a journey to use in Peru. Rustling Ground. What a cool name. I'll look him up. So he has a channel, Joe? Yeah, I feel free in a way I've never felt free. And, what I'm realizing about myself, and, I mean, I kind of had this inclination for a long time, but freedom is the most important thing in the world to me. It's more important than money. It's more important than clothes. It's more important than business. I mean, I've always wanted to have my own business to be free. That's always been the energy behind it. So I've always, pretty much I worked freelance or I did it, it's like, no. And somebody was like, oh, well, get some money and buy an apartment in Mexico. It's like, I don't want to be tied to an apartment. I don't want to be tied to an apartment. I really don't, you know? And like, I really didn't take anything with me. I took my clothes. I took some books. I took like 8 books. That's it. I took 8 books, 10. And I had a lot of books. I had a lot of books. And all the china, I had so much china. It doesn't, so I bought new china. I took my silverware. I took the silverware because silverware was really good. And a few other things. And now, with getting rid of the stuff in New York, everybody got all holier than thou. It's like, oh, I can't dump it in the street. Everyone's become so, I don't know. And so it cost me $400 to empty the thing. $400. And it's like, I don't have time to go through these boxes. It's like whatever's in there is whatever's in there. That's it. And every so often I'm like, oh, I wish I had that ashtray, or oh, I wish I had taken that cup, or oh, and it's like, you know what? You'll get another one. You'll get another one. It's not that important. The important thing is that I have me. That's the important thing, right? So let's get back to the card. The king is dead. Maybe spirit dies too, or your understanding of spirit dies. Maybe your innocence is dead too. But what have you got? You have the white horse of freedom is what you have, right? And you have this opportunity to build something new. And the sun might be setting, wide awake, or might be rising. A little bit of a vampire. The path continues. The path continues. Now, it's interesting too. Now, if you look, it's between the 2 towers. It's between the 2 towers. So the 2 towers relate to the moon. And the moon is the card of Pisces, one of Scorpio's sisters. So the towers really represent the path. So even this could be the tower. This could be whenever you see this in the cards, the path is a lit. On certain cards you really see it, and certain cards you don't. And then in Pisces, in the moon card, what happens is this: let's say the sun is setting between the 2, right? So what happens after the sunset? The moon comes up. And so the moon coming up for Scorpio, right, is this deep understanding of the dream life, this deep understanding. I know it skips a few cards, but I'm just giving you my little thing. Because if you look really close, you see the 2 towers? There you go, right? But the towers show up in justice. They show up in a lot of things, but they really, really very prominent in. Here we go. It's a great song. They were such an enormous band from that one song. It's incredible, right? It's going to be on the bottom of the deck. So what happens in the moon card, which is another fascinating card, and we'll get there too. Oh, by the way, write comment. Do you prefer I do this alone, or you prefer I have a guest? This one I had to do alone. I felt it. Here's the tower. So that it's said, here comes the moon. So the moon is about a different sort of illumination, seeing things in a spiritual light, seeing things prophetically, seeing things in your dream life, seeing things, not really quite sure where you're going, but there's a path. It's a little bit of a winding path, and it's very mysterious. Bye, Nancy. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Patricia. So what happens here is like there's glimmers of hope, right? These are new seeds being planted, and there's this mystery, and there's this understanding of like your primal self, right? The dog, the wolf, the weird crustacean thing. There's, see, so that's what's going on. So like now that, and I'm going to keep quiet. Now that like the death has come, right, and the transformation has happened, you're heading toward between the two towers onto your prophecy, onto your dream life, onto, it's almost like a soul. It's a soul path. There's a soul path going on. That's what's going on. Because Pisces, don't forget, is the last card in the deck. Well, the last sign, I should say. It's not the last card of the deck, but it's the last sign. And Pisces has this energy. So they say that if you incarnate as a Pisces, like you've been every other sign already. I don't know if that's true. So that's what's that. When the rug is pulled out from under you, there's this understanding of, well, I have my 2 feet. Where are they? And which way am I going? Because there's nothing to hold me to the past. That's what it is. That's what it is. So that is my take. Now, does anyone have any questions? I'm going to see if anyone has any questions about the death card. And then I'm either going to have a guest next week or I won't. I don't know yet. Exactly, Joe. Exactly, Joe. So does anyone have any questions regarding the death card? Oh. And then, I'm not big on reading tarot book. I mean, I have in the past. I've been doing this a long time, on and off. And, I've become a much better reader over the past 2 years because I do it all the time. And more stuff is coming to me. But now this guy, his name is Vincent Patisky, I guess. And he has a channel. I don't remember what it's called, but if you look up his name, he wrote a few books. He's a really good reader. He's been doing it for a long time. So let's see what he has to say about the death card. Okay. So I love the way he does it. He just breaks it. He does it really, boom. He's very clear and direct. He's from the Midwest. He's from Chicago. Okay. And he's been reading tarot for 50 years or something like that. Okay, so at a glance, major arcana death, 13, transition. At a glance, cleansing, new birth, limitations are lifted, voluntary surrender, changed perception, transformation. Okay, and the traditional meaning, a major shift in identity, new horizons to be experienced. The rising sun brings new life, okay? It can go whichever way you want, changes in spirit release new understandings. Spiritual transition, bringing in the new and releasing the old. I think he's right on the money on that one. Yeah. Purification, transformation, new horizon, closure, harvest, cleansing, swept away, end of a cycle, birth, renewal, a higher level, liberation, surrender, completion, departure, total awareness. Lovely. Lovely. So that is my take on the death card. I might do a guest next week or in 2 weeks, because now that I've taken 2 months off, it's like I can come next 2 weeks. And that's that. Now, if any of you have any suggestions as to the types of videos that you'd like to see regarding tarot, regarding art, I mean, I have to get in art space. That's another whole thing. Or Mexico. I'm open to making videos. So you can write me a private email, because like if everybody writes it in the comments, it's like, yeah, everybody chimes in. It makes me nuts. So this would be my email. And thank you all for staying here with me. And you could write me an email. It's like, this is what I think you should do. And I'll take it into consideration. I'm not going to, guarantee anything, because I'm a free bird. This is it's Jeffrey, Jeffrey, at Ripe Color, you can spell that, .com. So that is my take on the death card. Thank you very much for joining me. Now I have to go get something to eat and go obsess over rugs. I might go back to IKEA and see what they have. Can I carry it? La, 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 la. So that's that. Blessings to all of you. Enjoy the ending. We're toward the end already of Scorpio season. We have another 7 days. And I'll talk to you soon. I'll probably do some new moon, full moon. I'm going to get working on the weeklies. And, thank you. Thank you. Blessings. And see you all soon. Okay. Hi, Wiki. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Joji. Bye. Blessings.